into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Aca Gods. Now, let the buzz begin!
Yes.
Yep. This is how we get started.
Such a perfect song choice.
What up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome to AfterBuzz TV's after show for a new series on Lifetime called Pitch Slaps. We are so excited. We have an awesome, fun panel, an awesome, great show to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Marisa Serafini. Joining me, I have...
Oh, what's happening? Are we throwing it to ourselves?
Yeah, I'm throwing it
What
to you.
is happening, y'all? I am Ty Matthews, coming straight over for my very first non-wrestling AfterBuzz, so I'm pretty excited.
Awesome. Where can everyone follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Ty Matthews PMA. So,
Awesome.
all that's good stuff.
And I'm Lindsey Miller, and you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and pretty much everywhere else at Rockin' Mama Life.
What's up, guys? I'm Jeff Graham. You can find me on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham or on Instagram at Jeffrey Crane Graham. Yes, Crane.
Crane.
You didn't go for the Instagram pun.
Instagram, I know.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is
All right.
willpower.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TVs. All right, great show to get into. So much to talk about. But first, I want to know all of your first impressions of the show. Ty, we'll start with you.
What really jumped out to me is the kind of the production value. You know, with a lot of documentaries and a lot of docuseries, you kind of get that sort of grainy feel.
Yeah.
But this is really, really well produced. A lot of, you know, kind of wild shot changes and things like that. So it was a little bit more colorful than I was expecting.
Yeah. Lindsey?
I agree. I think it was shot like a lot better than I expected it to be done. I freaking love it. I feel like it's got a little bit of that like Best in Show awkward comedy feel, but then you find yourself getting sucked. You know, like the first couple minutes, I was like, I'm really watching this, making fun of myself, and then I'm like, oh my god, this is so good. You know, so it's got a nice balance of that. It's fun.
Totally, yeah. Basically everything about this show is everything that I love. I sang in an a cappella group in college, and I've taught high schoolers too, so it's like the intersection of everything that I love. I agree with you that there's like almost like a farcical element where like it's just perfect. I feel like it nails the tone of a cappella. It's like very earnest. I think it's great.
Yes, and you know, I went into the show not really knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
I know there was going to be a lot of talent. There's obviously going to be a lot of drama. It's on Lifetime. But I was thoroughly impressed by like the fast-paced of this show and the episode, just how they quickly just got the audience immediately engaged. And I'm really, really excited. And I'm like writing down notes fervently. And I'm like, oh, rewind. We got to watch that again because there's so much that happened. And a lot of people to talk about, a lot of fun things to get to. So we'll start with just the main core people of the show. We have Deke, Sharon, and Diana Preisler. Let's start with Deke, Sharon. I mean, he's well established. He's made a career out of Pitch Perfect, being a vocal arranger and producer. He's worked on Sing Off and created and produced more than 2,000 songs. What do you think about Deke? How about Jeff?
I've actually met Deke. In college, my group tried out for the Sing Off Season 3. We didn't make it, but we had a good run. And Deke is one of the producers for that show, so we met him, really nice guy. What was cool is he like coached our group a little bit, so that coaching instinct is very like inherent in who he is, which is cool. And yeah, I've only met him once or twice, but he is known as like the godfather of acapella. Like I knew Deke going into the show, so.
And that's what they kept saying. He's the godfather, or he's the god.
I've heard that before.
Acapella.
Yeah.
Do you feel that? Have you said that before?
I've definitely said that before. I've literally heard the phrase godfather of acapella to describe Deke. So like
amazing.
Yeah. So he's a big deal.
Yeah, Lindsey.
I love Deke. Deke, are we just talking about Deke right now?
Yes, we'll get into everybody, but I want your thoughts on
words about
Deke.
Diana.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Deke, I love him, and if I was on a team, I would be on Deke's team. I think he's great. I think he's hysterical. All of my life I've been listening to people tell me that acapella isn't cool, and he said it with like such emotion. Yeah. I was like, oh, Deke, it's really not that cool, but it is that you think it is. I love you. Like, I just love how much he loves acapella, and you can tell, and it's, there's an element of comedy to the things that he says, but then you're like, he really believes it. It's amazing. I think it's really awesome. Does he really believe that stuff?
Oh yeah, I feel like he is the embodiment of I mean, honestly, he kind of is a pioneer. Like, the group he founded at Tufts, the Beelzebubs, is considered one of the best, and like without Deke there really wouldn't be a cappella, so he is like kind of really a pioneer. So it's fun to see him on the show.
Yeah. Ty, how about you? Did you like Deke?
Absolutely. I think it's impossible not to like Deke. Deke is fun dad. He's who you spend the weekends with, and he's not gonna yell at you, but he's gonna bring out the best in you. And even though there are these lofty terms like Godfather and God, you can tell that he's just out there having fun. From when we see him imitating the different instruments in his interview, it's just he's fun to watch, and he kind of he really does capture the energy that is part and parcel to acapella.
Yes. I really enjoyed Deke, just the character and the nature that he brought to the show. For being a male, and like, not to get into gender issues, but being a male, he brought a more nurturing aspect to him, and I think that's actually really refreshing for a big group of kids. There were a lot of people, and I think he'll bring that softness, that what we kind of want in coaches, like the one who will like pat you on the back even if you had like a bad day or a bad performance, whatever. And I think he can like get down and real and raw, and I think that'll also be just great to what he can bring to everyone individually. And now let's get into Diana. We have the female coach of what do we think of Diana? I mean, she has a well-established career. She's coach. She's done Broadway, performance coach. She's like the best, quote unquote, the best, quote, performance coach in the country. What do you think of Diana?
I mean, she's clearly the bad cop to Deke's good cop.
Yes.
If Deke and Diana are the two best in the acapella world, Diana's the one that's going to tell you she's the best. She's been coaching for 14 years, and she'll be the first one to let you know. And we were talking about this. She does have this sort of stage mom, soccer mom type quality where you get the feeling that I think Andrew said, it's not so much about Highlands Voices versus Stay Tuned. It's about Diana versus Deke. And so I think we'll see that manifest itself as the season goes on.
Absolutely.
Okay. Diana. First of all, if you have to tell people you're the best, you're probably not the best. I'm just saying, never once did Deke, the godfather of acapella, refer to himself as that. He just listed his accolades, and people said that he was that, whereas Diana had to toot her own horn a whole lot to try to convince us that she was good.
Yes.
That's all I have to say. Now, that's actually not all I have to say. I think Diana is the long-lost sorority sister from Legally Blonde.
Yes.
Anybody?
Yeah.
Right?
I love this.
With the glasses and the pleather jacket, and I counted not one, not two, but I think 3 sequined heart necklaces over the course of the episode. I know we're in Jersey, but come on, Diana. It's not okay.
That's amazing you're counting that.
Not okay. I could not help. I was
Right.
like, is that a separate one? And then another
It's a whole
one?
new one.
Yeah.
I can't.
I
Two
kind
them
of
were
sense like a Will Schuester versus Sue Sylvester dynamic between Deke, Sharon, and it's Diane or Diana? That's bad.
Diana.
Diana. Okay, of course it's Diana, not Diana.
Diana.
Get it right.
I kind of like her though. I kind of like that she's spunky. I think she adds a lot to the show. I think without her there, the show, because Deke is kind of this soft, nurturing, fun dad. I love that you said that. I do feel like though she brings kind of this spunk, and with these shows they kind of amp it up production-wise. But I kind of like. I mean, and a lot of what she was saying was right. Like we'll get to it, but I think the way she was pushing those two soloists was actually really smart, and did bring out a better performance in both of them. So I think like production-wise, it was really smart to kind of pair those two as foils. I'm really excited to see how they duke it out.
Absolutely, and I like how the show have already established two completely different people, especially a male and a female pitting against each other, along with the teams pitting against each other. I think it's great. Diana, we obviously know that she has a well-established career. Like you were saying, Lindsey, she kept tooting her own horn. I felt like it was more so compensating for something else that she's obviously lacking in her life. So she might have a great career, but what else happened to her? You know, it's like she might be a great performer, but there might be something else missing that she has to keep telling herself and reassuring herself that, like, she's the best. And I think that's just, it's so hard to get into to like someone starting off a show like that. Like, I think the show obviously did a great job of who we should like and who we should not like.
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting element we'll definitely see unravel with all these episodes. And so with Deke Sharon's, he has to coach the Stay Tuned group. Overall, what do we think of Stay Tuned? They're from Cherry Hill, and there's more people. I couldn't count exactly how many people were a part of Stay Tuned.
21.
Stay tuned. There's 21. Yeah.
Which is too big.
And it's like he said. It's more. It's like Deke said.
big.
It's more of a choir than it is an a cappella group.
Right.
The choirs are great. I was part of choir.
I sang in choir.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is funny though when he was looking at Stay Tuned and I saw 21 people. The first thing Deke said was they're too big, and I was like, he's right. I think it's funny. I think that Highland's Voices is too small, and I think that Stay Tuned is too big. I think, to me, the perfect a cappella group is like 13 to 17, which is interesting because I think they both have a hurdle to overcome. One's too big, I think, and one is too small.
Sure.
Which I think makes the show pretty interesting. So.
Right.
Deke did say, you know, he kind of teased the audience, we might cut people, but do you think ultimately, we find out that he doesn't because Stay Tuned is more of a family dynamic, which is actually fun to watch. But do you think later on we might actually lose people, or will they stick to the 21?
I mean, I think if we do lose people, it'll be of their own
circumstantial
accord. Yeah, I think people might have to leave. People, you know, we might see some pretty heart-wrenching scenes out of that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anyone will actually be cut unless some huge fights happen.
The thing I like is I don't think the tone of the show would actually cut people. I feel like the show is doing a good job balancing the drama of Lifetime with like the earnestness of high school. So I don't think they would go as far as to like cut someone. But then again, it's Lifetime. Who knows?
Sure.
We'll see.
And so Diana Preisler now has to coach the Highland Voices. What do we think of the Highland Voices? We know they're smaller, but they have a bit of an ego. Do we like that?
I mean, they're the team that Stay Tuned has to overcome. You know, this episode, and I think that this is a microcosm of what the season will be. But it's a quintessential sports movie.
Yeah.
You know, if Stay Tuned is the underdogs that always come in second, the Highland Voices are the perennial champions that are kind of resting on their laurels.
Definitely resting.
And they're gonna have to be overcome. They're gonna have to be conquered.
Yes.
Honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I thought Stay Tuned sounded way better in the first assessments. I thought Nicole was an amazing soloist, and I felt like Highlands was very like thin. It sounded very thin. Like you could tell that they were missing something, and it just was kind of very flat to me, their performance. Whereas I felt like Stay Tuned had a lot of talent, but had a lot of weaknesses in terms of like arrangement and how they were being used. And so I think we're going to see that start to shift with Deke's influence. We've already, you know, in this episode we see that happen.
Yeah, you know, let's talk about Stay Tuned's first performance. They performed Sam Smith's Safe With Me, soloed by Nicole. So, you know, we're going to go back and forth between Stay Tuned and Highland, just so, you know, we have a clear establishment of who's who. But for the Stay Tuned group, they said their main key players are Paulina, David, a.k.a. Deacon, Nicole, Ashley, and Sam. We did get a good glimpse of Nicole. What do we think of Nicole and what she brings to Stay Tuned?
I think she brings a lot to the table in terms of, you know, when she was telling her own story, she said she went from being that shy girl in the corner to really, you know, a cappella bringing out her voice in, you know, in more ways than one, and really building her character. And not only that, but with this being her senior year, with her moving back to Texas after this year's over, I think we're going to get a lot of emotion out of her, both in the performances and outside of them.
Absolutely. What do you think of her voice?
I think she's a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
I really loved her performance, and afterward, when it was like, nah, you're not good, and they have better soloists, I was kind of like, really?
I think she's the best vocalist on the show. From what I could tell, I think Vanessa and Maddie from the other group were really strong. We haven't really heard the guys yet, but so far my impression is that Nicole is the best vocalist on the show. It seems to me, at least.
Which, yay, girl power.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, sure.
Yes.
I'm all for girl power.
And I think Nicole could also be on the same arc as potentially Sam, in which, you know, we don't see too much of her now, but she could get some really huge moments later on in the season.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We did shine a good spotlight on Nicole for the Stay Tuned group. Let's talk about the Highland voices. They said the key players are Philip, Blue, Maddie, Vanessa, and Andrew. Our two key for this episode's it was Maddie and Vanessa. They both have very strong voices. Do you like the idea that they're pitting two girls against each other right out the gate?
It's a good question. Go ahead.
No, I think you started to talk about this earlier. I think it was really smart what Diana did, aside from her fashion choices. It was really smart because you could tell that Vanessa was very comfortable. You know, she's that girl that gets all the solos and it's never even questioned. And she just sort of shows up and I'm cute and I sing good and they're just going to give it to me. And I think you could see that. There was no real fire where Maddie, like, you can tell that she just freaking loves it. Like, I just wrote down, like, fresh and, like, pure. Like, when she sings, there's this purity and this fun and this joy, and you can just feel that. And while I think that Vanessa's tone and her voice for the song that they pitted them against was more appropriate, I think that Maddie's energy and her, like, spirit speaks volumes above what Vanessa brought to the table.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that we didn't see more. I think I was expecting a more emotional response from Maddie at having lost the solo. You know, she's being given this kind of glimmer of false hope in auditioning for the solo that she didn't even audition for before. And so I think I was expecting a little bit more of a fallout after she lost it to Vanessa.
Yeah, I wonder if it's that dynamic of, like, but no one stomps on Vanessa's back. Like, it's like this is her territory. So
Right.
Maddie just, you know, quietly.
And if
backed
you
up.
do, you have to answer to Andrew too.
But you know what?
I can't wait to see what happens there. Oh my
But,
gosh.
like, maybe she knows her voice. Like, because I think with the first scene, we see her in a duet, and she sounded beautiful, and it was a great song for her voice. And I think she almost, you know, she didn't audition for this song. Either it was because she, you know, nobody stomps on Vanessa's solos, or Maddie just knew, like, this isn't the best song for my voice, because there were certain areas where, like, you could feel that it was out of her range a little bit, and she was reaching.
I do think, though, what you were saying, it does seem like Maddie's voice captures more of the essence of a cappella, whereas I think Vanessa's more of like a Broadway kind of soloist, performer type. But that could be the bias because I come from an a cappella background, so.
And Vanessa did say one of her biggest life goals is to get to Broadway.
I think she's an
She even
aspiring
sang it.
Diana, don't you guys
Oh my
think?
god.
I think so.
I find her
Even down to the
Little
red
Diana.
hair.
Red hair, yes!
Yeah.
Oh, mini Diana.
Yes, I definitely see that. But okay, so we're kind of getting into the rehearsal aspects of both of these groups. For the solo audition, they had us sing "Rather Be." What do we think of the song? Lindsey, you were getting into, like, what both of them brought a little bit different. I mean, Vanessa got a little bit more real, and Maddie just got a little bit exactly, it was just like a performance. Just singing the song wasn't just getting the voice out there. But are we happy with the fact that Vanessa, who always gets solos, still won this one?
I think so.
And she had to audition it fair and square,
Right.
It was her voice suited the song better.
though. Okay.
And I think that Diana's intention the whole time was to keep Vanessa on it. She just wanted to push her. That's what I think.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She wanted her to know. She was
And it
lazy.
worked. Right.
And she wanted her to not be so
Yeah.
lazy.
But what's interesting and what's symbolic is that Vanessa sang the song sitting down while Maddie was standing and kind of putting more into it. And so you see that it almost even represents both of their approaches to their roles in the group.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
Which is-
coming from... Oh, go.
Oh, which is also definitely interesting. I mean, we'll get to it definitely. I don't want to skip ahead, but it's completely contrast to what she actually did in the competition
Exactly, yeah.
aspect, which is, not to jump ahead, but I liked how we did get the establishment that there are two strong females in in this group in Highland Voices. And it also just shows, I mean, Ty, you did mention a point that you wanted to see the fallout from Maddie. I think it's actually great that we didn't see the fallout, because the only comment we saw from Maddie was that, I'm happy I even got an opportunity. And she was happy that someone gave her the chance to actually get something. And we saw her progress. She wanted. She really actually legitimately, genuinely wanted it. And I think that might spark some inspiration with her. And it's like, hey, I'm strong enough for everyone else to believe that I could also be a soloist, maybe in future episodes.
And that's the thing, being given the chance to audition means that people are thinking of her in the same breath as Vanessa, which is probably, a step up as it is.
Absolutely, absolutely.
One thing I do have to say, I noticed you had almost forgotten the group's names. I think both group names are just okay.
Exactly. That's 100%
That's
right.
one thing I noticed right away. Was like, Highland, why are they called that? Because aren't they from Allendale?
Yeah, I don't get that one.
Highland Voices?
Highland's Voices.
And then Stay Tuned. I like that it's a pun.
Like Stay Tuned.
It's very acapella. Yeah.
It's so hard for Stay Tuned because we watch so many television shows. Obviously, this is AFTERBUZZ, and every time we hear Stay Tuned, it's always like, wait, because there's a commercial coming. Stay tuned for this that you're eventually going to see.
That did start.
Every time we heard Stay Tuned, I'm like,
is a commercial coming? That's one of the, I didn't even think about that.
I know.
That's really funny.
I think of the movie with John Ritter.
Oh, that's a great movie.
There you go.
John Ritter. Jeffrey Jones as well.
Wait, what movie are we talking about?
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I haven't seen it, guys.
John Ritter, Jeffrey Jones. Come on, guys.
Before next week.
I agree. I mean, I think we've heard some more wittier names of acapella groups, but we'll go with it.
I just want to know what the source of Highland Voices is before the end of the season.
Right?
Maybe we'll find out.
Okay.
We'll
have to stay tuned. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
The college that I went to, our mascot was the Highlanders, and nobody could ever figure out why.
Interesting.
It was a bear dressed and painted like William Wallace.
This is a lingering question we might get the answer to. But let's go back to Stay Tuned and their rehearsal process. What did we think of Deke going back to basics with so many people? Did you like this teaching method of his?
Yeah.
Everyone's shaking their heads.
I mean, I think it represents kind of what we're going to see in terms of Deke versus Diana, where it's the quality of the singing versus the quality of the performance. And obviously not to jump ahead also, but stripping away beatboxing, stripping away choreography, making them just focus on the singing and their voices is really interesting. And I think it speaks to also the good cop bad cop vibe. Who's a better singer versus who's a better performer.
Right. Yeah, it was smart. With a group that size, you kind of have to go that way. The thing I'll be really interested to see is, it's true, like one of the categories is visual flair. Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's tough for a 21-person group to get synchronicity and do choreography.
How are you going to choreograph 21 people?
And they're not, I feel like Highland, whatever, I can't remember.
Highland Voice.
I feel like they're dynamic. With 8 people, they're all kind of performers already. That's just going to be a big hurdle for Stay Tuned, and it's going to be really interesting. Deke was smart for the first week to handle them how he did, but eventually they are going to need to push past that. And
that's the thing. We saw, we saw how well it worked.
Right.
I strongly disagree on that. Coming from like a dance and choreography background, when you have a small group, it's a lot harder to have it look visually appealing.
Oh, cool.
Because the more people you have, the more you can create like a group in sync vibe where it's like an entire group of
They need you on the show.
Whereas like when it's a small group of I have some words about the visual component of this. But when it's a small group, then it's if one person is like, you see the individuality more, which is great, but you see the individuality more. So it's a lot harder for them to be, like, small group is a lot harder to compete in than a larger group.
But logistically speaking, is there an issue of space with that many people? Or?
Staging.
No, it's actually better for staging because if you have this big, huge stage and you have 6 people and you're trying to really take over the space and make an impact, it's a lot harder because when 6 people spread out, it looks thin and bare.
It looks disconnected.
Disconnected. Whereas when 21 people can stand really close and be just as connected and small, and then when they move out, the impact is so much greater because they're filling the stage and it's growing instead of getting more separate.
Interesting.
So it's a lot easier to choreograph into like a bigger visual
treat.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And Deke did say, I mean, he had a lot of nice words to say about Stay Tuned, but he didn't have the nicest words to say about the rehearsal process, saying it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess. And he walked out, which I think that was more for a dramatic flair.
Yeah, he was standing right outside the door.
I don't think he's the kind of person who would walk out.
I think Jeff and I were both laughing really hard when he was kind of like,
Pick her up.
The producers, stay right there, stay right there.
really-
That kind of
Don't
gave
anyway.
me a Will Schuester moment. Like
Yeah,
he's outside the
very Will
classroom
Schuester.
listening.
Super staged.
I did have to laugh at the part where Deke is like, "You're not as good. You're not as talented.
Right.
You're
They're
not
better
as good
than you in
looking.
every
Your
way."
clothes aren't as good. They're more wealthy. They're more privileged. But you've got heart."
But you got
Right.
heart.
The kids are like,
And heart goes a long way, though.
The kids are like, "You could have listed 4 things instead of listing 22.
Right, exactly.
could have like not told us everything
But
was
you know
terrible.
what? Stay tuned are the underdogs.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
And that encapsulates the show. It's heart versus skill at
Yeah.
this point.
But
Yeah.
they're also more personable.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Like we got the individual moments with the core people of each group, and I liked more people on Stay Tuned than I did Highland Voices. So
Yeah.
it should be interesting. So we also see Deke. He walks out, but he's also listening in. And what do we think of the group staying and actually wanting to perfect their performance? What do you think that conveys the message of the actual group?
So sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, they want it more. I
Right.
think
Yeah.
we get, we got that from the beginning. If Deke is telling them something, even after he leaves, they want to keep working on it. And I think it was Sam that said they're not going to leave until they get it completely right.
Yeah.
I think when you're coaching a group, like the ultimate goal is to coach them to coach themselves.
Yeah.
You know, like to
Yes.
have them coach beyond what you can do and to bring them together as a group, because there's like this, in sports, in acapella, any type of thing like that, there's this like X factor that you can have two people that are super talented, but what makes the difference is what's behind it. And so I think that's where Stay Tuned really has like an ace in the hole. And he was saying all these negative things. He's like, but you have heart, and you're kind of like, that sucks. Like,
That's the
all
consolation
we
prize,
that's
really.
the thing you can't teach. That's
Right.
the thing you can't give to Highland's Voices. They have to find that for themselves. And so if Stay Tuned already has it, then all he has to do is teach them.
Right.
And that's like the best place to be in as a coach.
Yes.
It's New Directions versus Vocal Adrenaline.
It is.
You guys watch
It's
Glee.
so...
It's very much that.
For all you listening, we are referencing Glee. That was a big musical show.
You can't not. I mean, come on.
Sure.
You have to.
Yeah.
Not to self-plug, I also hosted that after show. So
Look at
big
that.
fan of Glee. Okay, so we also get the rehearsal aspect of Highland Voices, and automatically, Diana is saying, hey, we're going to have a competition every single week. Get ready. And we're training, and we're running. What do we think of this? We have to run outside.
It's Rocky IV. It's Highland Voices are Drago with all their high tech machines and all the scientists watching them. If he dies, he dies. I think that's what we see. And whereas I
love
think
you making this.
absolutely that's what it's.
Right.
It's every sports movie, and it's awesome because Diana, you could tell she doesn't. At least now, she doesn't really care about the heart. She cares about you're gonna win. Team Diana. She keeps calling him Team Diana.
Her shirt was hashtag Team Diana.
I love that though.
Exactly.
I love
That
when
girl
she
is a
fights.
little too much.
Yeah.
I like it.
can't.
I like it.
You do?
Yeah.
No.
What do you like about it?
I feel like she is like the sass factor, like the intensity factor, and like the hashtag. I just think it's like I kind of like that confidence. There's something appealing about it to
But
me.
it's
Is
all
it
about
confidence
her.
or is it
Yeah,
ego?
I
Yes.
hear you. Maybe
It's
you're
so
right.
tacky.
Is it confidence or is it ego?
That's a good point. We'll
Ego.
see.
But
She
I
is-
think
It's-
the flip side to that is it's going to result in them getting better. As
Right.
much as we hate it and as annoying as it is, it's going to produce results.
Yeah.
I think
we'll see.
off of Diana's ego, because that's what I'm calling it. I wrote down in my notes, it's like she kept saying, my team, I win, I win. How many times did she say I?
Yeah.
I couldn't count.
That's
All
true.
I
about
lost count.
Diana.
And for winning, we work as a team. Statistically, people work better and accomplish a goal working as a team compared to individuals. So just more
a good
in
point.
Diana.
Yeah.
And I think
It got annoying though.
I think she does think of them as a team.
Yeah.
It's just a team united under Diana.
Yes.
I.
Right.
The running is smart. I will say
Sure.
That was so funny.
lived in New York and did musical theater
stretching
for a while.
montage
and
was really funny.
A lot of people, like a lot of singers in musicals on Broadway, will like go on a stationary bike and sing because you have to be able to sing and move if you're going to sing and move.
And also, running just helps with breathing and rhythm and how you sync your moves
Right.
to beats and stuff like that. And it also just helps build the diaphragm so you have better breath support.
Right, and
So
we
I
saw
think it's
them.
great.
We saw them building the cohesiveness with the jumping jacks as well. You know, getting that
And
rhythm
sync.
down. Yeah,
And it was hysterical.
It was so. I love
super
when
funny.
Philip was
I'm
like,
gonna
Philip
need to
is
stretch
my
for
favorite.
That was so
20
funny.
minutes before I
Did he mention his doctor too? I think my doctor recommends that I stretch.
Which is a half hour.
I was
yeah.
like, this is so awesome.
Philip is a bit of a diva.
Fantastic.
It's gonna be
Philip.
great.
Isn't he crying
And can
next
we just
week?
mention his
He
bacon bay shirt? Was
Yeah.
pretty
Oh,
much
yeah.
one of my favorite things.
Oh, it was bacon.
It was
I
the
did
word bay
not.
made out of bacon. It was
Bay.
pretty incredible.
Really,
Man.
it looked
If
like
only
blood.
I could. Yeah, I didn't think I could like
I'm
fill
not
it
gonna-
more until the
Nah.
bacon bay shirt.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but the running was great to add stamina and just physical, training for that.
Which is
I
important
really
for
enjoyed it.
acapella.
It is.
I've been there.
It really, really
Yeah.
is, and it helps train. So, of course, to establish the drama on the show. Of course, the first week you have to pit both of these teams against each other. So their first competition, week 1, they're singing, and Stay Tuned has to sing Hide and Seek by Imagine Heap. What do you think of their performance and what they brought?
Thought it was great. Am I gonna jump in? Is that all right? I thought
Go
the thing I loved was Rather Be and Hide and Seek are like the most quintessential a cappella songs ever, which is so great because like both of those songs are just like notoriously a cappella choices. So that was great. I think a group that size, it was really smart to sing Hide and Seek because that song is only supported by a large group. And it's a tough song, and they were in tune for the most part, and like a lot of tough harmonies, and it was, I think that Deke really capitalized on everything that group can and should be doing with that song choice.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great.
Yeah, so sorry. I should have prefaced that. Like, the competition, the judging aspect is that 1/3 is based on performance, the another third is based on arrangements, and then choreography. So 3 parts making up for the judging curriculum.
And going back to the song choice, it's also, I feel like everything's indicative, but I think even the song choice, Rather Be is a much more recent song and a much more contemporary song than Hide and Seek is. Hide and Seek was big in what, 03, 04, whereas Rather Be was just from last year, maybe the year before.
Really
Timely.
Yeah, super recent.
Very
and so
timely.
I think that once again speaks to the differences between these two groups, where the Highland Voices are going to use something super modern and super fresh in everyone's heads versus, Stay Tuned, who are going to use something kind of tried and true and sort of older.
Yeah.
I think it's Deke's fault they lost.
Yeah. Let's hear this. I want to hear this.
Sure.
Sorry,
Sure.
2 things. 1, they sounded amazing,
Yeah.
and the arrangement was beautiful, right? And that's why they outscored them on both arrangement and vocal performance, because they sounded fantastic. The arrangement was brilliant. My problem is the visual, right? If he goes back to the basics and we see him talking about dynamics and the importance of dynamics, and if you start at 0 and then you come up, then you have somewhere to go. Why? I get the point of being very simple with your choreography and making a statement, but you can also make a statement and have dynamics. There needed to be something when the visual picked up in dynamics with the movement.
Yeah.
Because when they just stood there and their visual picked up, then you lose something. Like something falls flat and you're like, why are you still standing there? Because their voices, their beings, their feelings, their emotions, everything was growing, and their bodies were like wet little noodles just standing there. And they didn't want, you could tell they didn't want to be standing there. And so I really think it's Deke's fault. They got 11 on visual because you could feel that. They wanted to move.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
and they're in black. But to maybe be the devil's advocate to that, for this specific song, Hide and Seek, yes, we know it swells and builds at the end. But for physical motion, what could they have possibly done to add to the
acapella
visual
rock.
to the song?
It's
Even
like-
just rock.
They didn't even need to
yeah.
rock. All they needed to do was just
out.
walk and spread out.
You're right.
And take the stage. That's all they needed to do was just
Why
walk
aren't you
and
on the
spread out
show,
and take the stage.
Why aren't you a
That's all I
consulting
wanted.
producer?
No.
And not, you know,
Call me.
coming from not this world and not really knowing about acapella, but it seems like that's what kind of makes the difference between a choir and an acapella group is that sort of the visual aspect. If you're sitting in a crowd and you hear a song like that and you hear a song that swells like that, you expect to see more of a physical show and a physical component to that.
That's true.
And
That's
so I
really
think,
spot on.
Yeah, so I think we saw that the best plan isn't always no plan in terms of choreography.
What I liked about the fact that, yes, they did slack on visual, but that was on purpose because the two that they actually did win in was arrangement and performance. And that goes to show that they have talent. They have raw talent. And I think that was the message that Deke was trying to get across, that you guys have talent. It's not about visuals, it's not about show. You don't have to you don't have to have the fireworks to win a show. You have to have talent. And I think that's what we can all learn from what they brought to this competition.
They're both very good. I will say, like, objectively, just as high school groups, they're both excellent. And I've seen a lot of high school a cappella groups, and I've worked with some. And I'm glad that Lifetime did choose two top-notch a cappella groups, which is fun to see. I will say, though, the scores were right. I think Highland was what I can't remember.
Okay,
Highland
so
we'll never know.
Stay Tuned, the scoring system was for vocal arrangement for Stay Tuned was 25, the performance was 25, and the visual was 11.
Yeah, the Highland should have won. They were better.
Right.
But it was close, and I think it is exciting because Stay Tuned, they've got the heart.
They do, and I think
the
this
talent.
was, you know, once again, to bring it back to Rocky, this was Rocky losing the first fight against Apollo Creed. You know, I think they needed to get that focus away from the choreography to get that much better at their singing, so that now that they know that they can reach that point, they can bring the choreography up to match that.
Cool.
Dare say they had the eye of the tiger.
There you go.
I hope they sing that.
Go.
Don't even get me started on Rocky. I love that so much. But let's get into the Highland Voices performance in their competition. They had to sing Rather Be. I think at this point, with just going through the audition process, I was already over the song. But,
Right, absolutely.
now we had to sing. We had to hear Rather Be again.
Right.
But in a different version than what Vanessa performed during her audition. What do we think of this performance?
Oh, I have issues with this one too.
Angela, let's hear
Do
it.
you?
The visual. Let me tell
Lay
you
it
about
out.
the visual. So here's the thing: when you have a small group, right, and you try to make them like a little army with no personality, like she made them all flat iron their hair, which is horrible because some of those girls had beautiful curls, and I was like,
I'm
oh,
so glad you're on
God.
this panel because I did not notice any.
You
Me
noticed
neither.
anything?
I would have had no
This is
clue.
all that I noticed.
Yeah.
So she made them like this little army, but if you're gonna do that, you have to be like freaking on point. And any little deviation from that is just gonna make it look weak. And I think if she had kept some personality in them in terms of like the costuming and the staging, then you wouldn't see those flaws as much, but you see the flaws so much more when you try to make it super uniform, and it's not. The other thing on that is when you're choreographing for people that are non-movers or not dancers, there is a fine line between it looking very cheesy and it looking good. And you have to like work with them. And I feel like Diana's the kind of person who choreographs what she thinks is going to look good on that group, and she gives it to them. And then when she sees it done, she's like, oh, that's a hot mess. Do it better. Instead of adjusting it so that it looks good on their bodies. And I felt that when I saw the performance, that she gave them this choreography because this is the choreography she decided for this song. And she didn't adjust it based on them. And so there were moments like when they're kneeling and coming up and you're like, oh, it's so cheesy. And it loses something because they, and then at the end when they're getting into it and they're all moving their own personality and they're being themselves and they're moving naturally, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But the parts where she was like, this is what you're going to do because it's going to look cool, and it didn't, and she didn't change it.
And it's true that they're high schoolers. Like, they haven't grown into their bodies
they're
yet.
awkward.
They don't know.
Awkward little people.
Right, and they're singers. Like, they're not... These aren't Broadway people.
No.
And she comes from a Broadway... I know what you're saying. I did notice some awkwardness and a lack of kind of groundedness in the foundation of what you need to perform really well.
Right, and the way I always explain it, because we get a lot of people like that, in pro wrestling. When people start training, you get people that are around that age and they haven't grown in their bodies. And the way I always compare it is like it's like the movie Meet Dave, when there's a little army of aliens kind of piloting their body, but they don't quite know how to do it just yet. So everything's just a little bit off.
That's awesome. I love it so much.
Okay, my thing about this competition for the Highland Voices, it was all about Vanessa. Because looking back at it, that's the only thing I can remember.
Right,
And to win, you should win as a team, not as a soloist.
Interesting.
Granted, she has a very strong voice. She had a great performance.
She's no Nicole, but she's okay.
It was all about her.
Yeah.
And she's the only thing I can take away from it. And I don't even like her that much.
Right.
And it's just upsetting for that to be the first. They did win. They had a 23 for vocal arrangement, 24 for performance, and 22 visual. So overall, they were the winners. But honestly, Stay Tuned won, though, at the end.
Sure.
They won our hearts.
Yeah,
Sure, exactly.
I know. The producers are setting us to want
Oh, of course.
Stay Tuned.
Oh,
We gotta
absolutely.
stay tuned to see what'll happen.
But
Stay
it
tuned.
was just, I had a problem with, mostly I had a problem with the Highland voice because they have a small group. They couldn't count how many they had, maybe around 10.
I think 8.
I think they had 8, right?
Eight,
Yeah,
10.
which is
Wow.
small.
I'm terrible.
I
with
wish
numbers,
they
you
had
guys, I'm
like
sorry.
2 more. It's a small group.
Right.
Yeah, it's a very small group, and I feel like the whole go-to move is when they get in one line and then they pop out. And they get back in.
Right.
You see that every
Flying V,
acapella competition.
line.
It's very
Pyramid.
hard to choreograph on a small group because
Yeah.
there's only a certain number of
But it's
formations.
Shape.
There's only
It's
so
just like
much you can do.
shape
Yeah.
limit.
I see it too much.
Yeah.
I see it in television shows. I see it in movies. I don't need to see it in the show.
Yeah.
And that was the first thing. Maybe that's just a personal thing that irks me. But I'm just wondering how many more times we'll see that in the show.
A lot.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I didn't think the choreography was that great. Granted, by Diana, I was like, you didn't have a lot to do.
Right.
Right.
But okay, so they win. Highland Voices win. What do we think of everybody's comments about the opposite team? Let's start with Deke and what he thought about the Highland Voices. And
Didn't he have an awesome quote?
he had an awesome quote about there was another place they'd rather be.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun to see some
I
sass
love
from
that.
Deke because Fun
good.
Dad doesn't usually get edgy like that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so that was
So when it
fun.
comes out, yeah, for sure.
But he also had another great comment. Though, they didn't capture the essence of what rather be, because during Vanessa's audition she did, but during the competition performance she didn't. It got showy and it lost the message of it. And I think that was actually a really good constructive criticism comment from Deke. What do we think of Diana's comments towards Stay Tuned on their?
She was right. Didn't she say they didn't move at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right.
she was
We get
right.
that.
She was right.
They
but
didn't move.
It's you hate to agree with her when she's being so brash about it.
I know.
Yeah.
I just love when Philip is they could have at least lifted up their
I know.
extra 2 points. I was
Philip
like, yes,
is
Philip.
a sass factory.
Yeah.
I like
I feel like
that.
we're gonna get a lot of good quotes from him
I'm
this
excited to see
season.
Philip.
Love
I don't
it.
know if you guys noticed, but during the performance of each group, during the Highlands voices, when they cut to the other Stay Tuned's facial reactions, they're like, wow, they're actually good and they're impressed. Where when it was Highland watching Stay Tuned, they had smug looks on their face. You can tell they have an ego to them. They're
And I
already
think-
condescending.
I think that's
It
the
was hard.
beginning. That's the beginning of 2 separate arcs we're going to see over
Yeah.
the season. We're going to see, Stay Tuned maybe thinking more of themselves and not being quite so intimidated.
Yeah.
And I think
Right.
we're going to see the Highland Voices maybe taking their competition a little more seriously. Maybe once they lose for the first time.
Absolutely.
you
And
know.
there was a clear shot of Diana when Stay Tuned was performing. It was just a look of utter
Such a
disgust.
stage mom. Oh my god.
Okay. So we obviously know what Diana's personality is like.
Sure.
What I think
What
is
it is right now.
interesting
Yeah.
is the pairing of Deke with Stay Tuned and Diana with Highlands Voices, because I feel like both coaches share the strengths and weaknesses of their teams.
Yeah.
I feel like Deke is really great for building up the weaknesses that Stay Tuned has. But I think that his weakness as a coach is in the visual component, and he's going to have to really stretch as a coach to bring something more for this group. And I think Diana's weakness is that she has a bit of an ego, and she's all about the
bit.
show and doesn't find the heart of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same weakness her team has, and she's going to have to really stretch to try to find that in them. And I think it should be interesting to see how both coaches address their own weaknesses to help their teams get better.
Sure, it's singing versus performing. You know, it's the two obviously most important parts of acapella. So we see these two halves kind of butting heads. So it'll be interesting to see which one wins out.
What do we think of Andrew's comment towards Diana from the Highland Voices?
It was a little.
This is how it starts.
I'm excited.
I will just say
this isn't the last time. Yeah,
I had to applaud Andrew for actually literally saying everything that the audience is thinking.
Yes.
Right.
And I was like, good on him for having the audacity to already stand up to Diana and pointing out her flaws.
I
Like, this is
disagree
about
a little
you against
Oh my
Deke.
God.
Again, also reflecting the message that this is you, Diana, against Deke. This isn't about the team. This is a you personal problem.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. At the same time, though, I kind of feel like when you're being coached, you have to respect your coach. And, like, Diana, she does have cred. Like, she comes from a... I didn't know who she was before the show, but she clearly she talks
She's
a lot.
the best.
She's the best.
She'll tell you.
She's
So
on the
they
show.
say.
But at the same time, like, she made their group better, and she pushed those soloists, and she knows what she's doing.
Exactly.
And I feel like I like that Andrew pushed back because I'm excited to see how that dynamic develops. But I was a little bit like, whoa.
And that's going to be a war because I think, like I said before, you may not agree with her methods, but they produce results.
Yeah.
And so I think one day he's going to get a little bit too mouthy and bring her wrath down on him, and it's not going to be pretty for him.
I can't wait for it, though.
Oh, it's gonna be so
awesome.
good. Yeah, the TV viewer in me loves him.
Yes.
But as a coach and being on teams, I agree. Like respect, you can think all those things and say them after.
Right.
I love that you say them on TV because we get that be entertained by it. But I think that there should be respect, and if they're going to grow as a team, they need to respect her.
And I think obviously there's a little bit more of an element there. And it's interesting that we saw this in a Chiron. We saw this in a lower third on the show, but they didn't really talk about it. But Andrew being Vanessa's boyfriend, I feel he's also in a position where he feels like he kind of has to stand up for her because it did feel like Diana was kind of picking on her just a a little bit.
It
so
was.
lame.
So far, Andrew's really like the only person I like on Highland Voices. Everyone else is like,
Oh, I
yeah.
love Maddie.
Maddie,
She's kind of the straight
she's the timid person to watch out for.
She is the straight man for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like
She will
Vanessa's
give us
Rachel
a run
Berry.
for her
If
money.
we're talking Glee, she's a little
She
Rachel.
Okay.
Which is
Very
good.
Rachel.
It's a good thing.
It is. It's good to have that strong point person, but you can't always depend on the point person.
Right.
And Matt's got
I
that
mean,
crazy two-color
because-
eye thing going on, too.
Oh, yeah, it was cool.
Vanessa literally officially got the solo that she won, and then immediately said, "Hey, I have to leave."
Convenient timing. That was tacky. No, Vanessa.
I think that was like editing purposes. But
Sure.
It does also show that Vanessa, I feel she doesn't, in some ways she takes it seriously, but others is like, yeah, it's still, this is, given to
Right.
me. I don't have to
Right.
worry about it.
I mean, but to be fair, she wasn't blowing it off just to go hang out with friends or go to, a party or something like that.
But you don't do
Where was
that
she going?
on-
Another rehearsal? Like,
Yeah.
No, not okay. I'm sorry. But when I was in high school, which was like 2 years ago,
Yesterday.
plus like 10 or 15. Anyways, I was a cheerleader and I also danced competitively. And if I missed a dance practice or left it early, I did not compete.
Yeah.
Like zero chance. It did not have. There was no, like, if you were sick, you brought a bucket. Like, you just did it, and like
Right.
there was no question. And that's what. If every member on the team is that committed and one member isn't, and they're leading the team, that's not right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I will say Diana did make an excellent point because, like, I love seeing hard workers and people who, like, know and work for her. I mean, she has a great career. I'm not, denying that whatsoever. It's just Diana did point out the great thing. It's like half the battle is showing up.
Yeah.
Right.
And the fact that now you're already there, but now you leave, it's about actually just giving a crap.
Yeah.
And Vanessa leaving is like, yeah, peace.
I know. Especially when you think she's on a reality show. She shows up.
But also, it's like they are teenagers.
Right.
So it's,
Sure.
it's hard to have
There's a lot of
teenagers like
editing.
fully committed like that.
Oh, yeah, they're busy. Yeah. For
Okay.
sure.
All right, so I mean, we talked a good chunk of the episode.
Yeah.
But we also learned that they're both New Englanders. These teams are in the
East Coast.
East Coast
Yes.
of America. Stay Tuned is from Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And Highland Voice is from, I don't Allendale. And Lindsey, you actually have some fun stats about each of these towns.
Oh, well, like, obviously my first thought when I saw them...
You're from the East Coast,
I am
right?
from the East Coast. I'm from upstate New York, and I lived in New York City for a while, and actually, I didn't really live in New York City. I lived in Jersey, but I tell people I lived in New York City because it's Jersey. Love Jersey! Weehawken, if any of you out there are from Jersey. Yeah, Weehawken right on the water. It's fantastic.
Represent.
Peace. Yeah. Anyways, Cherry Hill is in Camden County, which is actually the Delaware Valley, out in the outskirts of Philly. And Allendale is in Bergen County, which is basically a suburb or outskirt of New York City.
Okay.
So there's those two differences there in terms of like the Cherry Hill, which is where, stay tuned, they're like Philly kids, and Allendale is like the New York City kids. Most likely their parents work in New York City or Philly. And then there is some like differences in the demographics in terms of income there. Allendale's, median household income is around $131,000, whereas Cherry Hill is around $88,000. So I think we probably, I think Deke made the reference of, are you sick of losing to the rich kids up north? And I think that's kind of a testament of maybe the financial differences in terms of the resources in the schools and the programs of the two different a cappella groups. So it's interesting how that might play a role.
Yeah.
And I think that also just establishes like how personalities are too. That these kids, their parents the people, from the more better income society, that's like there might be and I'm not saying this for everybody, but they might be a little bit more entitled in personality, that they're used to always getting what they want, compared to the people who don't have the best income and they have to actually work hard for what they want.
Sure.
And I think that might reflect on both of these groups, and we're definitely already seeing the social differences between these two.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually fun to watch, to see if that in the end will actually just affect on how they perform and how they see each other during all these episodes.
Yeah, we'll see. How far away, like, in time do we think Cherry Hill? Because if they're competing, like, every week, is that, like, 5-6 hour drive?
Well, I noticed that they're performing at, oh gosh, I didn't write it down, but the place where they're performing at is closer to New York City.
Okay.
I think it was the South Orange.
South Orange
Yeah.
is closer to New York City, I believe.
Okay, cool.
But I don't think it's that far, because Allendale's kind of like a further outskirt. Like it's a bit of a trek to the city. It's further up, and then same with Cherry Hill. I think they're kind of...
So they're meeting on sort of neutral ground almost. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So one team
Like
needs
the
to
Super
eat
Bowl.
a slice of humble pie,
Yeah.
where the other one just needs a little bit more confidence booster.
Yeah, I think so.
It's Rocky and Drago, man.
Yeah.
See, I see myself for the underdog perspective, because, not to make this personal, but like I grew up on the outskirts, and I was always the one looking into the different society. I was like, I want to be a part of that, but
Sure.
I had to work my
Now
way
you're
to
in
it.
Hollywood, kid.
Now I'm
You
here.
made it.
There you go. But like I understand like the hard work and ethic that goes into just wanting anything in life to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see that a lot, and stay tuned.
Definitely.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right. So you know what? Let's get to predictions. then.
Prediction.
Oh my.
And now,
What is happening?
your AfterBuzz TV.
Do they not have this in wrestling?
No.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Can't really predict.
We have to cram 3 hours into 1 hour.
Yeah.
We get strobe lights.
This is amazing.
Fancy up in here.
Feel like we're about to go into space.
Yeah.
All right, we see some dramatic previews for next episode.
So good.
Yeah.
Deke in a hospital?
Oh,
Deke,
Oh yeah, we see.
something happens with him. He's in the hospital.
I feel terrible. The first thing I did was I went, yes.
I love you, Deke.
No, I love Deke too, but
You are
come
a horrible
on.
person, yeah.
But like episode 7, the hospital, it's perfect.
Sure, sure, absolutely.
That's the thing where the producers are scared but so happy.
And you know
he'll be
by
fine.
then
Deke will be fine. He's gonna be fine.
He'll
guys.
be fine, but
He's got heart, just
They're
like his
going to
team.
Nashville. Without their
Exactly.
coach.
You know by then he'll have built such a bond that
Oh,
it's
I know.
just waterworks everywhere.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like this is Glee, where there's a personal issue that goes on that brings everyone together and
Right.
makes
Sure.
them perform.
Yeah.
Now, one thing you had mentioned earlier is that Stay Tuned is a little too big and Island Voices are a little too small.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this might be a little far-fetched, but do we think that there's a possibility that maybe some could jump ship?
Can you imagine the drama?
Right?
I
Oh my
hope.
goodness.
I don't think so, but I hope.
Right.
Okay,
Because,
so-
I mean, Stay Tuned is 3 times the size of Highland Voices.
Nicole, let's see. I'm predicting a Nicole, Vanessa, Andrew Love triangle.
Oh,
Probably.
man.
I think. I don't think so.
Well,
Aren't they
that's a
different
serious
teams?
drama.
That's what I'm saying. If
That's the whole
teams-
point.
Can you imagine?
How much more
Nicole's
tension
moving
could there
to
be?
Texas.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
that will happen.
Yeah.
Aw,
Yeah.
interesting. I put in my notes for the Highland Voices, people will slowly self-combust. Because just under the tutelage of Diane and Diana,
The regime.
yes,
It'll be like
regime, that's a
Saved
good
by the
word.
Bell, Jesse Spano. There's no time.
That's
There's
exactly
never any time.
It's so excited.
No place I'd rather be. No place I'd rather be.
They're just
If you're young, if
Those-
you haven't seen this episode,
Yeah, all these high school.
those poor
amazing
yes,
right now.
Jimbo, you know.
he's
I love it
Just
so
popping
much.
those caffeine pills.
Yes. If I hope so.
I'm so scared.
Exactly.
Yes, but in all seriousness,
Yeah,
under
sorry.
Diana's strict regime and her
Sure.
very competitive nature,
Yeah.
I think she will push people literally over the edge.
far.
Where I think because it's such a big group, we will see people just
There's
quit.
a smaller though.
Well, Deeks is the big group.
Oh,
I
Deke
don't
says-
know
you're
if
right, you're
Diana's
right.
group can
But, okay.
afford to lose
I
people.
know.
at
I'll
this
take that
point.
back. But I think
You're right,
people
though.
might want to, like, we'll see moments where
I
they're
think,
like, I'm
yeah,
done with this.
the
Yeah.
faces that we don't necessarily have names with, I think we might see them drop
Ooh,
one
maybe
by one.
they'll leave and then they'll have auditions for more people.
There-
I'd be down.
There you go. There you go.
New
Who doesn't
faces
love a
halfway
good
through the
audition?
season.
Sure.
Do you think Maddie will actually get a solo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She
yeah.
deserves one.
She
Great
should have
vocalist.
one.
What do you
Yeah.
think that'll do for Vanessa?
Oh, I can't wait.
I think Vanessa will kind of learn how to take it. You know, I think we might see a little bit of an outburst from her, but I think she'll be, you know, she as well as the team will kind of learn to sort of take things a little bit slowly.
All right.
Well, and if she wants a career in Broadway, she's going to have to learn. I mean, realistically, honey, you're probably not going to star in your first role. You're going to be in the chorus.
Yeah.
So you need to learn how to be a team
True.
player.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's also young. She has to just learn the ways of what the industry is.
Right.
For Stay Tuned, we spent a lot of time in Nicole, but we didn't really spend a lot of time on the actual male performers.
Right.
Who do you
Oh,
think will be
yes.
like the standout for this group?
I don't know.
I think we'll see a lot out of Decon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait to see
He's like a real
Decon.
bass. I was listening. His speaking voice is very low.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure,
I
sure.
love
Bass.
Decon and his
Yeah.
fashion choices.
Even just visually, he kind of resembles the tall guy from Pentatonic.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Yes,
Avi.
I love it.
yeah.
Avi. So good.
I'm worried that Stay Tuned is too nice and that we won't see a ton of internal drama. Like I feel like
Oh, no.
because I'm
Let's see
sensing an
that.
Andrew Vanessa love relationship. I'm sensing
Over on the
Andrew
Highland
pushing
side.
against on the Highland side.
Right.
But on the Stay Tuned side, I'm worried that we're not going to have enough. I hope that they're willing to, you know, push back a little bit against Deke and
Sure.
we'll
I
see.
think we'll see some.
We'll see
I think
something.
when you aren't pushed, you don't let everything out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we see them coming in to Stay Tuned at a very like, oh, we just sing songs and we do whatever, but we never really win, and so we just go and we have fun.
Right.
And I think once they start to realize, oh, we could be good at this and we can push ourselves, I think when that starts to happen, you put a little pressure on the pot, then people's personalities
Yeah.
and conflict tends to arise.
Cool.
All right, awesome. So we had a lot of fun things to say about this episode. More fun episodes to come. We have
Man.
more competitions coming.
Stay
So
tuned.
much.
Stay tuned is gonna
So
win.
much is
I
happening.
forgot to say that. I'm calling it right now. Stay tuned is going to ultimately knock out Highlands Voices in the
We don't know
elimination.
that.
I think you're
we don't
right.
know that. I think it
We'll
could go
see.
either way.
They're both excellent.
Sure.
And I think right now Highland's better.
And then an all-boy group from a private school is going to win it all.
Yes,
the Warblers.
Warblers. Let's do that.
Dum,
I'm
dum,
so
dum.
for that right now.
Oh,
right now,
man.
because we know the end goal is to win the summer invitations and
Yes.
whatnot. So, all right,
Invitational.
fun things to look forward to. Where can everyone keep following you and talking about the show?
You can follow me, Jeff Graham, at Twitter, Jeffrey C. Graham, Instagram, Jeffrey Crane Graham. See you there.
There you go.
Lindsey Miller, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, awkwardly periscoping, at Rockin' Mama Life.
You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram at Ty Matthews PMA.
Excellent, and you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV. You can follow all of us here at AfterBuzz on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those fun social media platforms at AfterBuzz TV. TV. Rate, comment, subscribe. This is a brand new show. We really had fun talking about this. I hope you guys too. I want to hear everybody's thoughts and opinions on the show. So many great things about it, and there's more to come. Thank you everyone for listening and watching, and we will see you for our next competition.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.